This is Dr. Bardot. We were interrupted in class at the end of class with drills, so I wanted to show you the last little bits of code to start getting you programming your GUI. So as you remember in class, we created a project named GUI and a package named Practice and a class named Drawings. So we're going to fill out the rest of that class. In there, there's a public static void main method. This is what happens when you run the program. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a frame. I'm going to name that frame window. And remember, a frame is the part of a program that sort of sits around the outside of the program. So in this case, it's sort of this bar up here and the edges around that bar. So that's the frame. So this is the box that contains the program. And for window, we're going to, well, you see I have an error there. That's because I haven't imported that class yet. So that's in a package called the swing class, the swing package, which has got the JFrame class in it. So once that's in there, I can do dot notation, and I'm going to set the bounds with 4 integers, x, y, width, and height. So that's going to tell it where in the window it's going to appear and how big a window it's going to be. So for this one, let's do 100, 100, 300 wide, and 200 tall. And we want to just put this in here. This basically just tells it what to do when the little red button is hit. And sometimes people want very specialized operations to happen there, but we just want the normal thing to happen. So that is given by this constant here, which is in the JFrame class called exit on close. And now what we want to do is create a JPanel. So this is the kind of thing that's inside so this set the size of the window. This says close normally. And now we want to fill that window with something, a JPanel. But the kind of JPanel I want to use is a drawings here. So we're going to call it a panel or canvas. That might be a good name for it. And it's going to be a new drawings. And this is sort of different from the typical constructor here. We're just promising that canvas is a JPanel, which it is because drawings extends from JPanel. So now we've got that new canvas, and now I'm going to do some things to it. I'm going to set the background. So I'm going to use the color class. We'll set it to white. But we haven't actually put this panel into the window. We haven't made a connection between those two. So I want to tell the window to add, to get the part of it that contains the interior. And that part should add the canvas. Okay, and then finally, this window that I made is sort of all made up. Well, let me say what this does. It adds the panel to the window. And finally, this window is sort of made all in the computer's head at this point, and so we need to show it to the user. So we're going to say set visible true. So that's what's going to happen when we run it. We have an error here. That's the typical error, just that we haven't imported color. And that's sort of, this is going to be our standard setup for how to run a program. We're going to make a frame, we're going to put a canvas inside of it, and inside that canvas we'll put all sorts of things. But panels have an important method, just like robots had an important method. The run method was an important method. The on-scanned robot was an important method. The important robot here is the public void paint component method, which gets fed in something called graphics. So this is a method that is called by the computer generally, and it says, oh, I need to draw you. How do I draw you? And so this is where we can say, put something here, put something there. Anytime you draw me, draw this here. So this is a very important method for us. You might have seen that I had a little error here as well. I had to import the graphics, which came up here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just ask the panel, the regular old panel, to paint itself, just like it would have normally. This is very typical when you have a subclass. And now let's get some important information about how wide the panel is. Although we probably know that it's 300 by 200. But this is how you would figure it out, particularly if the panel got resized and the width and height were changed. Then using the graphics, this graphics variable stands for all the graphics that have been drawn already. So this gets passed to the paint component, and by doing that, using this graphics class, we can put new things in the panel. We can draw, so you should definitely check out the methods here. So draw a 3D rectangle, draw an arc, draw characters, draw an image with an image file. We'll talk about that another time. Draw a line. This is something you want to do. Draw an oval. An oval is a kind of a circle that fits inside a rectangle. Draw a polygon. Draw a rectangle. Draw a rounded rectangle. So that's a rectangle with rounded edges. Draw a string. Okay, these are all a fill. These are things that are filled in. So these are all very important methods that you should explore. So let's just see a couple here. Set the color. Color red. G. Draw rectangle. Well, let's say 25, 25. 150, 100. So this is where the top left corner gets placed. The first two numbers tell us where the top left corner gets placed. The second two numbers tell us the width and the height. And let's just see what that does. Oh, except I have an error. Why do I have an error here? Because I need to change this to all capitals. Okay, so that makes that error go away. We'll run it. see what happens. When I start to run, I'll get this thing down here, and you see I've got a red rectangle. Okay? If I change this to 50, I have to close this because it's its own little program. See? It's its own little program. And see, it moves slightly over. So 0, 0 is up here in this corner. And 300, 200 is down here in this corner. If I do that, it doesn't change at all. I can make this work a little differently. I can do W. I can use those W and H's to make this change when I resize everything. Oops. Okay. So let me save that and run it. Now when I expand it, that rectangle expands along with me instead of being fixed. That's because every time this window moves a little bit, it's going to the paint component method and running that again. All right, so a couple things. First, you might check out this webpage, docs.oracle.com, Java SE /1.42 docs API Java, or you just type into Google Java graphics class API, and in there you'll be able to find all this information about the different methods of the graphics class. These are things you might use. And for your homework, what I'd like you to do is create in one of these things something that basically looks like that. Try and draw that in one of these Java drawings. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.